You remember the discussion we had about it? There's one sport that's going to be extinct in the next 50 years. It's going to be baseball. And
Yes.
we talked about baseball was in such a bad place, and it's like I'm a traditionalist. I was against originally all these rule changes Manfred was making, but now it's like I can't even imagine baseball without a pitch clock. The shift,
Yep.
banning it actually worked. You're getting more people on base, and I think that's the most fun part about baseball. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Otani going to the Dodgers and winning the World Series, or if it's just the fact that we had such a great postseason battle with a bunch of good teams and good games,
Yeah.
but it really felt like this MLB postseason brought back the love of baseball. And I think baseball is in a better spot now. I know ESPN's leaving it at the end of this season, which is a weird decision to me by them because I think
hmm
baseball is growing at this point right now.
hmm
And listen, I think that after it looked like baseball was in the dooms for about a decade, it's like here they come again.
Yep. Absolutely. The baseball, man. The playoffs last year, the Guardians playoff run last year
And
was,
maybe that was part of it because that was the most fun I've ever had watching baseball.
oh my God, it was so fun. And that the Guardians are another team, like, right, like where they build from the bottom. They don't have a freaking salary. They've got one of the lowest payrolls in the league. It's but yet, despite all of these things, they win. They win. They win. They win. And it was so exciting last year, Brandon. The Franmil Reyes followed by the David Fry walk-off home run against the Yankees, and I think it was Game 3,
You,
was
you mean Big
the
Christmas, not
yeah.
Fronto Reyes.
I'm sorry. Yes, Franmil Reyes. I cannot believe I just said that. John Quincy Noel. Thank you for correcting me there. Those home runs, dude. Like I have
Electric. And
never.
and
I was
Brian
in my
Anderson on the
apartment.
call was perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was in my apartment, sitting on the, not even on my couch, on my ottoman, as close to the TV I could because I was just locked in. And for the first time in a while, I was having so much fun with the MLB, and I've never screamed louder, not at a game, than I did when Jonk hit that home run, and then obviously when David Fry walked it off later, and even the series against Detroit, we had some
Yeah.
great moments. Lane Thomas grand slam off of Scooble, just
In both games,
like
game one and game five. I mean,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it's like, dude, it's baseball is the thing about baseball to me. It's just maybe just my opinion. I think baseball has the best playoffs now. I don't watch too much baseball playoffs if the Guardians are not in it. However, this year I was because I honestly thought they had the chance to make the World Series this
yeah,
last year.
I
I
did
think they
too.
do.
And
I
I
think
and
they do
I
this
I
year.
watched more National League last year than I have probably the last 5 years just because I was
I
so
was just
into
gonna
the
say,
playoffs.
yeah, the Padres were like, I was so into the Padres last towards the end of the year and then the playoffs because I'm like, this is a team that kind of reminds me a little bit of the Gardos, right?
Yeah.
Like they
And
are
we
very
trade so
similar.
much with them. You kind of
Yeah,
feel like you know
absolutely.
their whole team.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So it's like that was for the first time I was actually paying in a while paying attention to the playoffs extended just beyond the Guardians right now. They do have a problem because I think the MLB more than any other sport is so centrally focused. The fans in this case are so centrally focused on their teams. Like you'll see a drop if a team is in the playoffs like the Guardians were, you'll see a drop of viewership because all those Guardians fans may not be watching as much playoffs or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be.
But
Like I think fans care more about their teams than they do
yeah,
others than
baseball is
any other
certainly more
sport.
local than national.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but going back to marketing and things for the NBA, how the hell are you supposed to market that? I mean, Jose Ramirez hit three freaking home runs last night,
Yeah.
Brandon. Three home runs. And he's still one of the least marketable players in the game. And it's like, well, it's not Jose's fault. It's not his fault. He's a great player. He's consistently one of the best
Yeah.
players in the entire league. And to me, he's a top three player in the American League for sure. But I mean, how do you market this guy? How do you market him? He's so loved locally. He's so marketable locally. You could see him at Heinen's downtown Cleveland, walk up to him, say hi, Can't really do that with the NBA,
Yeah.
can you? Can't
Well,
really
well,
do that with the NFL, can you?
well,
Right?
we've
So
always used the example of it. Mike Trout walked down the street here in Cleveland, no one would recognize him.
no, absolutely. And there would be some people, of course, that would like if you're a huge baseball fan. But Brandon, if he walked by me, there's a chance I don't even recognize him.
Yeah.
Like I know what he looks like, I know how great he is, but like
Yeah.
it's just like he doesn't have the recognizability of like if freaking LeBron James walked down the street and I
Yeah.
saw him, or if Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or whoever the hell you want to say, even a lower end player, if Denzel Ward walked down the street, I'm
Yeah.
like, is that freaking Denzel Ward? But if if Juan Brito or David Fry or one of
You
those
you would
guys
have
was in a
no idea.
bar, I have no idea.
Yeah.
These guys, so it's tough, and it's tough in those respects. So the MLB does have a marketability problem. They do have those sorts of problems. But all that being said, they have a lot of good things about it too. I think locality is a good thing and a bad thing when it comes to that.
What do you think about these torpedo bats? Because when I first heard about it, I gotta tell you, my first thought was, "Oh God, here come the Houston Astros cheating scandal all over again."
No, well, that's
And then when I heard about what they were doing, I'm like, you know what? It's legal. The bat and the weight and everything. Like, okay, like it's gonna work for some players, it's gonna work for somebody else. I think that some of these home run numbers are inflated because of the fact the Yankees hit a pop up and it goes out of the ballpark in right
yeah,
field. But
yeah.
I think by the All-Star break, these torpedo bats are either going to be the story of sports, where it's like everybody's using them, or it's going to be a non-factor where it's like, okay, these things worked for a couple weeks and now no one's using them.
Yeah, it's almost to me right now, it's almost it seems like I'll make a couple points here. The first point is it's almost like a placebo thing almost to me, right? Like it probably works. It actually probably does work, and you've seen it work, especially for some of those Yankees hitters like Jazz or Volpe or whoever it may be. It works for them, sure, whatever, cool. Um, I think people were initially angry about it because it was the Yankees, and it's like, why does the evil empire need to be even more evil and better and make all their players that can't hit actually hit now? Like, I can see the argument there, but then you learn, okay, well now Ellie De La Cruz is using it, and other players are using it. There's a big list of players who are using this bat. To me, if it becomes a thing, if it's a legal thing, which it is, and it becomes a thing where every team has a guy, two guys, three guys using these bats, I mean, whatever, whatever. I do not care. I really do not care. Um, I had an issue with it at first, of course, because I thought it was just the Yankees using it. I thought,
Well, and when you
why
see
the
they hit
hell?
4 home runs in a row or whatever it
Right,
was,
right. And I think, why the hell do we need the Yankees to be even better than they already are? Like, that shit is ridiculous to me. But with all that being said, Brandon, you take a step back. You look at it and you go, okay, well, maybe these bets can make things a little bit more exciting for the bottom lineup, for those fans that are in the stadium. Like maybe these sort of things can make the game just a little bit better. Maybe more hits can be produced. Now, you may have an argument against whether or not that's needed. To me, I think it is needed. I think the MLB needs more offense. And if this is a way to do it, I say let it go. I say let them do it. Just like the whole situation with the balls a couple of years ago, the MLB
yeah,
using multiple balls. This sort of reminds me of that in a way, like it's it's annoying in some respects because you're like, what ball are we going to get today? Are we going to get the
yeah,
ball that jumps out of the park? Are we going to get the one that is a dud off the bat? It's sort of the same thing with this. Like if the Guardians are playing the Yankees coming to town, are the Yankees going to hit a ton of bombs off of us because of
yeah.
this? If we're using it, could we just hit a ton of bombs off it? So it goes both ways. We'll have to see. I like your point about maybe by the trade deadline or the All Star break, evaluating and going, okay, are these backs actually helping? Are they, are we going back to a median where these players are more playing within their means, whatever the case may be. But um, I I don't mind it. That long-winded answer is I do not mind it. If it creates more offense and it makes the game more exciting, I'm all for it.
What do you think about our team this year? If people are already flipping out, listen, they're what, 7 games into a 162 game season. I mean, I've said this. I think baseball starts Memorial Day weekend.
No,
That's
absolutely.
now if you're a team like the Braves though, and you're 0-7, there's cause for concern. But like,
Well, even in that case, Brandon, they played the Padres and the Dodgers.
yeah, and
It's like, you know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
yeah, but the problem is you just can't dig a hole in your division that deep
Sure.
that
No,
early, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I look at our division. Maybe we all regress back to the means this year, and it's kind of what we thought, where it's every team's going to win 85 games. Like kind of what we thought
Yeah.
last year. It
Yeah.
could be, but I just think this team's so well rounded. And Bieber is going to be back at the trade deadline, and that's going to be like an addition to this team. And
Yep.
I got to tell you, I know they're pushing Bybee right now as the number one guy, but I watched Gavin Williams, and I'm like, man, if this dude has control of that changeup, he's got some Bieber in him. He's got some
Yeah.
of that calm demeanor in him. Like, I think he could be an absolute stud. The
Yeah.
offense is going to always pick up midway through the year. I, this team's got as good of a chance to me as anybody out of the American League, do they not?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree. And you worry about those bigger teams. You worry about the Yankees. Really, the Yankees,
I
quite
mean, they,
frankly, are gonna.
at the end of the last posting, I did the math. So they eliminated us in 17, 20, 22, and 24. So
Yeah,
in 4 of our last 5 playoff appearances, we've been beat by the freaking Yankees, the only team
yeah,
outside of Houston we can't beat.
yeah. No, seriously, they're and truly, Brandon, they're the one team I'm worried about, right? Just because of their lineup. With all that being said, I think we played them decently well last year. I think we had a chance to
Oh,
beat
we
them.
we should have been up 3-2 going back to New York. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
absolutely, we should have.
Those
Absolutely, we
games
should have.
killed me. I've
Yep,
never felt more devastated because I don't know if we were going to beat the Dodgers or not, but I thought we could have given the Dodgers a run for our money because of our pitching.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And so that's the thing about it, right? Yes, we have a chance. I absolutely think we have a chance. Um, but those Yankees do worry me. Now, with all that being said, Brandon, we're going to win this division. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. This is breaking news for your audience.
You're
The Guardians are the 2025 AL Central champions.
not worried about
Um,
Detroit at all.
I'm not worried about Detroit at all. I'm not worried about the Twins at all. I'm not worried. I think Detroit is going to have a not so great year this year. And
Wow. Okay, I'm
I
curious
think
why.
so. To me, I'm a very, like you said in the very beginning of the show, I'm a very analytical person, but I'm also a very odds type of person, if this makes sense. So to me, the Tigers had a year last year that they actually should have had this year, if this makes sense to you. They were a little ahead of what they actually were last year, in my opinion. And I think this year they're sort of going to regress
So they
back
regress
towards that.
back to
Now
the mean.
they've got a better lineup this year than they did last year. However, Skubal, I think Skubal's going to have a worse year this year. I think their pitching staff takes a hit this year in terms
Mm.
of how good they are. Um,
See, I kind of feel that way about Kansas City, not necessarily
no,
Detroit.
I could agree with Kansas City too. Kansas City's still too
Because I
young
think
and raw
Kansas
for me. I'm
City
not
easily
worried about them.
overperformed last year. Like
Yeah,
and they made no moves. Where Detroit, I look at it and I go, they made moves to get better. Kansas City
they did
didn't.
make moves. They did make moves. And with all that being said too, despite all the moves Detroit made, they're not getting past our bullpen. They're not getting really past their starting pitchers. I'm excited for the first series against them because that's a true test in terms of how are we going to face up against them the entire year. Um, I wish we played as many games as we did a couple years ago before they sort of realigned the schedule and how games were played in the MLB. But with all that being said, still we play them a lot. Um, I think Detroit's going to be up there. I think they'll be an 80, 85 win team. I think the Guardians are going to be just a little better. I think the Guardians are going to be a 85, 90 win team. Now, the Guardians have a lot to do to get to that point. They're not showing, Clase worries the hell out of me. He worries the hell out of me right now, Brandon. I am not very confident in his abilities right now. And quite frankly, he's a player that doesn't have the best attitude when it comes to I think he thinks he's the best closer, which he was last year, of course. I think he thinks he's the best closer in the league, which is good to a point. But if you think you're the best, some players, in my opinion, don't necessarily train as hard
Yeah,
as they
I think
should
he
in
has
the
a
off
hard time
season.
adjusting, and he's like, "Why are people hitting off me?" type of deal. Like
Yeah.
they shouldn't be hitting off me.
Well, Brandon, I think it comes down to I don't think he worked out that much this offseason. I truly don't. I truly don't. You look
That's
at him.
fair.
I'd be interested to see his weight this year compared to last year. So he's not fat by any means or anything like that. But Brandon, the first game against um, forgive me, what was the first series that we had? Um, oh my gosh, I can't think of the very first game we played this year, and it was freaking 6 games ago. Anyway, the first game of the season, I mean, he blows a save. He had three blown saves last year. That's it. Blows a save the first game of the season. Comes in yesterday, gives up 2 runs. I mean, he scares me, quite frankly. He does. But with that being said, our bullpen is still electric. It's still
Yep,
great. I think a guy like Cade Smith, I think you could throw him into the closer role if you need to. If we get
I
to the
agree.
All-Star break or even a little bit before, and Clase's got 6, 7 blown saves at that point, then that's a time when you need to make a change, right? And even before that. But other than Clase, I'm not worried about our bullpen. I'm literally not at all. I'm maybe a little worried about our starting pitching. Gavin Williams didn't have the best showing yesterday. Now, I think if we kept him in a couple more innings, it would have been fine. We still would have won the game.
Let me ask you this:
Um,
it's part of that. I don't think Bo Naylor does a great job calling games, and I love Bo.
yeah.
You know, but I think Austin Hedges is just a lot better defensive catcher. Like I think Hedges
Yeah.
knows how to call a game. I don't know if Bo yet knows how to call a game.
Well, that's a great point. And the thing about Bo is, yeah, he's your technically everyday starter. Um, but there's not really any pitchers that like select him to be their catch, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah,
Like there are, Hedges at one point was, I'm pretty sure, Bieber's primary catcher.
yeah, and I
Like
don't
things
like
like
that.
that.
I
Like,
like pitchers selecting their own catchers.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's how it should be. Now Hedges, he's hitting 100 right now because his one hit was a home run. It's like, but he's
But
not going to
that's
hit
what
that
he
all
does. But
year.
he's so good defensively. Like
Yeah,
there,
absolutely. Brandon, I don't care if we got a guy in the lineup hitting 150, as long as he's good, especially a catcher. If he's
by the way,
good,
what
throw him
cost
at the
us
bottom of the
last
order.
year, game one in New York, was Naylor letting all those balls get by him in the dirt.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't even mind finding another primary catcher if we could somehow through a trade or something, whatever the case may be there, maybe towards the trade deadline. But I like Bo. I think he's good in terms of some things, but there's a lot that he struggles with. He's not a great, like you said, he doesn't call games great for a major league catcher, and he needs to be better. I think he can be better, but he's just too young right now. He's too raw. He's not. He's been with
Yeah.
this organization for I think 3 or 4 years now, and to me, I've not seen much growth with
Isn't
him.
that
Maybe with
crazy how
hitting.
baseball works? A guy's a first round pick. You don't see development for like 5 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's improved hitting, sure. But it's definitely a concern. It's definitely a concern defensively, especially in those big games when we get to the playoffs. You need every single person, especially the pitcher and catcher, need to be at the top of their game every single pitch. And when you're not, like you said, you're going to give up runs. You're going to give up valuable runs that you wouldn't have given up otherwise if you don't let those balls pass. If you don't do these things, and that gets to pitchers too. You let a ball pass, you let a run in.
Absolutely. I mean,
I mean, come
Cantillo
on.
couldn't throw a strike last year. At the
No.
end, it felt like he couldn't trust Naylor, so he just threw everything in the dirt. And by that
Hmm.
time, the game's over. I mean, how many times do we
Yep.
say it in baseball? Every pitch and every swing matters in the postseason. To your point,
Yep.
that's what makes the postseason so much fun. It's 30 days. You're playing every day or every other day because of travel. But the NBA playoffs are 60, 65 days, a couple of
Yeah.
days off in between. It's not as exuberating as the MLB playoffs. 1 week you're in it, the next week you're going home. It's
Yep.
like the
Absolutely.
NCAA March Madness tournament where we start with 68, and by the Sunday of the first weekend, we're down to 32.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
like that clip from the Friends World podcast. If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brandon's World podcast right here on YouTube.